It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it, caught, touchdown, did he get it?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on into the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, hour number 2 on a Friday. So good to have Friday here, finally. Been a long week, but a lot of things still to look forward to tonight and tomorrow as well. And we got a busy night in high school football. We'll tell you who's playing and where, what's on the line in these games. We've got more games in the college football schedule that are pretty interesting. A top 25 showdown tonight in college football in the Pac-12. So we'll preview those games. I'll let you know how to follow along there as well. Utah Jazz held their training camp today. We'll spend more time about what Will Hardy had to say or what this training camp early looks like for Utah. But he did have one thing that was kind of interesting as this roster has been changed a little bit. But also looking at volleyball and Utah State women's soccer. I wanted to touch on that this hour as well. And USU women's soccer, they've had some pretty notable games. And that exciting goal knocking off number 1 BYU earlier this season. And then they had another one that went extra time in the 90th minute. And Utah State, Colorado State squaring off. And this is how that game concluded.
35 seconds. Forward to Richens, a give and go.
Oh.
Olsen fires on goal! Kylie Olsen! The Aggies take the lead in the closing seconds. It's Kylie Olsen. That was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. Yes, that was not in extra time. That was in the closing seconds. Literally seconds left in regulation.
Yeah, 90th minute. There was I think it was about 30 seconds left, or kind of ticking under 30 seconds when Olsen, strikes that ball from outside the box, kind of on the right side of the only, kind of halfway point of middle to the right sideline. Kicks it inside the left post. Just you can see it from the angle. They got a great angle on the broadcast there where it curls in,
bends in
inside that left post. So cross the face of goal, beats the keeper with a one-time shot. Just putting it right in. Yeah, the Aggies getting a second straight win in conference play. So they're 2-1 in conference play. I think third or tied for second. I think there's one team that's undefeated. One or two teams are undefeated in Mountain West play so far. There's a couple of 2-1 teams. They're 2-1-1. It can get complicated because you throw ties in the mix too. But yeah, the Aggies doing all right to start. They had kind of a weird loss to Air Force. I don't know what was up with that. They followed up a win over number 1 BYU with the loss to Air Force. But back-to-back wins over Mountain West teams, Colorado College and Colorado State. I don't know what it is with playing the state of Colorado. They've done that 3 straight games now. But they're doing the Colorado circuit right now. But 2-1. Defense is playing as spectacular as always. I think Colorado had 2 shots on goal the entire game. They made De'Ara Walton's life, as easy as possible there in goal. She records her, school record, continuing to set the school record, 24th career shutout in goal. So Utah State soccer plugging along here as they get into Mountain West play, and they'll be contending to be one of the best teams in the conference.
Yeah, very impressive win. They've had some dramatic ones, playing very well, and great to see. Always great fan support, but also always fun when there's a local that's having a great run with Utah State. And lately, it's a good number of those locals.
Yeah, there's a lot. I was about to say, you say a local on the team.
Talent.
That's like half the team and half the rotation. Most of the great players on the team, most of the notable players have ties to local high schools. Kylie Olsen, London Miller, Busy Arevalo, Tenzing Knowles, and those are just the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And there's more than that. There's probably twice as many as I just named. If I went down the full roster, I think there's like 7 or 8 of them that are from, not just from Utah. If you just go from Utah, then it's most of the team. And I just think it's really cool that not only do you have a local roster, but it's a local roster that's dang good. This is a good team that's full of local players. So it's an absolute blast, this soccer team. I love it. And you mentioned dramatics. This team under Manny Martins has had an absolute flair for the dramatic. This is not their only couple of dramatic wins
No.
in his 3-year tenure. This is his 3rd year of his time at Utah State. They did a lot last year. They did it his first season. Lots of dramatics with this team.
Utah State currently in 3rd place in Mountain West Conference women's soccer standings at 2-1-0, trailing Boise State, who is 2-0-1. San Diego State is also 2-0-1.
Yeah, so they've both got 7 points in the table, and I think the Aggies are one of 2 teams with 6 points.
Now they're the only team with 6
The only
points.
team with 6 points? Okay, I thought somebody behind them had 6 points as well, because they're 2-1, and that gets them 2 wins, 3 points each. The one loss, you get 0. So, Boise State and you said San Diego State.
Boise State and San Diego State have 7 each.
Yeah, and they get the 1 point for the tying instead of losing. But one thing that'll be interesting with Utah State the rest of the way is their ability to finish, because they've actually done pretty well in getting shots, but they've really struggled in converting those shots as far as goals. They've been a pretty low-scoring team most of the year, and I think ideally it doesn't continue, but I'm afraid that it will continue for much of this season. But we'll see. They've got a lot of young players in that, at the forward positions. Most of their experience and their great experience comes particularly on defense, where they've got a bunch of multi-year starters in the back line and in goal, holding midfielders, multi-year starters in the midfield. And they're getting some offensive productions from that midfield. London Miller, and I think Kylie Olsen's I can't remember if she's a midfielder or one of the forwards. But they don't really have anybody at the top of the formation that's really getting a lot of goals and a lot of quality strikes. And that's something that they need to be able to improve on. The problem is a lot of them are like freshmen, sophomores. There's a transfer or 2 in there. But it's something they're going to try and keep working on. They got this elite defense, probably one of the best defenses in the conference. But they got to be able to score a few goals too.
They host Wyoming tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Sunday at 1 o'clock. So those of you that want to go and cheer on Utah State soccer, they've got Wyoming coming to town. Wyoming not having a great year. Wyoming has not won a game yet in conference play, 0-3.
That's a bit rough.
Yeah.
So I have to imagine Utah State should be able to take care of business. Like I said, if they're a low-scoring team, then as much as they always hold teams in check defensively, it only takes one bad play. So that's where he worries. That's probably a little bit what happened with Air Force, I think, where they're a better team than Air Force, but just let it go through that they shouldn't have.
So women's soccer doing well, but a big, exciting finish yesterday with literally seconds on the clock to get the victory. And they play again there at Chuck and Gloria Bell Field on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Utah State volleyball also doing well. They're currently undefeated in conference play. A couple other teams are as well. UNLV, Boise State also undefeated in conference play so far. But Utah State women's volleyball continues to be a very dynamic squad as well so far in the early goings of conference play.
Yeah, doing well. I mean, in conference play, they said undefeated. They beat New Mexico 3-1. I think they lost the first set, then they end up little gentleman's sweep there. I don't know if that's a term they use in volleyball, but basically what they did there. Undefeated, 10-4 on the season. But I think all of those losses, at least 3 of those losses, coming against teams that are either ranked in the top 25. One of their losses to Nebraska, they're currently number 2 in the country. BYU, another loss, they're number 9 in the country. Texas A&M, they're receiving votes in the poll. I think Texas Tech, I don't remember if I was kind of just scanning the rankings. I think I'd forgotten they'd played Texas Tech. And so I can't remember if they're receiving votes or ranked in the poll. But so the Aggies marching through their schedule aside from like the elite teams that they're playing. So they're looking pretty good this season. I believe UNLV was the team they were tied with in the preseason standings at the top. I think UNLV and Utah State were kind of jointly picked at the top of the conference, same number of points, although the Aggies had more first-place votes. So through 3 games, this is about what we were expecting out of the Mountain West. Utah State, UNLV at the top. I know Boise State's sitting there as well at 3-0. But UNLV 11-4, Utah State 10-4. Couple of really good teams, so it'll be exciting when Utah State and UNLV match up against each other.
Yeah. This week, tomorrow, they're at Air Force, 12 o'clock game for them. And then they return home next week to host Nevada on the 5th, and then Fresno State on the 7th.
Yeah, Air Force can be a tricky game because Air Force, they're also 10-4, 2-1 in Mountain West play. So, this is a team that Utah State's obviously going to have a.
Yeah, Fresno State's 2-1.
Yeah,
so
it's
2 good opponents coming in this next week.
Yeah, now we were talking with Rob Nielsen by this conference. He very much believes that it's growing. It's getting better and better and better. The depth, the top end's getting better. That was something he focused on, I think, in our interview. But he was pointing out also that just the rest of the conference is better and better too. Quality of competition is getting higher and higher. So even as the Aggies themselves are getting better and better year over year, where they're getting higher and higher in these rankings, jumping into the top 25 at times, or getting votes in the top 25 at times. It doesn't get any easier because everyone else is getting better in the conference too. So it remains exciting. It's not like Utah State's getting better and just going to dominate the conference. They're going to play a lot of tough teams through this conference schedule.
Yeah, so Air Force tomorrow, Nevada, who has struggled on the 5th, they're 0-4. They've only won 4 matches on the year, 4-11. And then Fresno State next weekend, who's been pretty formidable. So it's a good stretch right now to go cheer on Utah State and Club Estes.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The games, a lot of these, you focus on the football and the basketball, but these environments, volleyball, soccer, you even throw in hockey, where everywhere you go, great environments, great teams. It is a wonderful time to be an Aggie fan. There's so much going on with these sports, and a lot of them are playing really well.
Excuse me. And at the high school level too, like last hour, we talked about 4A girls soccer, and Green Canyon wrapped up the Region 11 title last night with a 1-0 victory at Skyview, and likely to be one of, if not the top team when the 4A rankings are revealed and playoff brackets are revealed tomorrow morning. It could be a number of teams out of Region 11 ranked highly there. And with volleyball, Skyview currently number 1 in 4A volleyball, Green Canyon at number 2, and then Ridgeline at number 8. So 3 schools out of Region 11 in the top 10.
Yeah, so now I can't remember how many teams are going to be getting the buys, but yeah, we expect Skyview.
I believe it's a top 8.
Yeah, it's like around this. Like Ridgeline's kind of on the edge there.
8 or 9. So Ridgeline's right on the edge.
So depending on how they do that, but yeah, Skyview, Green Canyon going to get the buy. Ridgeline maybe. So those 3 have consistently been the really good teams in volleyball. I think last year they were all like in the top 4 or 5 in the RPI, and just having multiple teams at the top of the volleyball RPI has just been the regular. It's the usual here, and so not terribly surprising to see that again out of Region 11 volleyball. Is just really, really good here. So we'll see how exactly that pans out. But yeah, a couple of really good teams. Well, 2 or 3 really good teams out of Region 11 volleyball.
Yeah, and next week I anticipate that being the if I'm understanding it correctly, should be the final week of the regular season for volleyball. And so they'll probably have their final RPI rankings for them will probably disappear tomorrow morning.
You got to take a snapshot.
Yeah, I'll need to. And then their playoff rankings will be revealed shortly after that.
Yeah, so probably next weekend, I suppose.
I think that's right.
That's typically about what it is. The weekend after they conclude. They're usually pretty quick in terms of the turnaround.
Yeah, I don't see a date scheduled on here for UHSAA, but it's usually, you're right, on that last week.
Yeah, as long as everything's wrapped up, because like a lot of region play wraps up, at least at the 4A level, next week. But then everyone just kind of plays an extra game at the end of the year, something like half the teams play a game at the tail end of their region schedule. Maybe some regions have an extra game, maybe a sixth game. I don't know how big all these regions are. But, yeah, we won't get the final football RPI for about a month almost. 3 weeks.
A couple of weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks. That Saturday of fall break.
This will be 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not that far away.
Feels forever away.
Yes, it does. Speaking of high school football, we'll get into that, what schedules are going on tonight, who's playing where, how you can follow along. We'll take a timeout here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, who's playing where, how you can follow along, and if you had to only choose one game to go to, which one could it be? But frankly, I think there's something that's worth paying attention to for about every game here. So we'll go through that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. My brother Travis and I opened our first store here in Logan in 2010 by Big 5 Sports. Recently, we opened our second location by Red Balloon Toys. We carry the world's best beds, IntelliBed Purple, Tempur-Pedic, and Sealy Posturepedic. And yes, we are the ones that tease Lewiston once in a while. We're 6th-generation Cache Valley family, and chances are that you or your neighbor bought a bed from us, and we value that more than anything. Come into the North or South My Mattress today and sleep better tonight. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Nearly 21 years ago, Cafe Sabor opened their doors in historic Logan train station. With the help of hundreds of amazing employees and patronage of thousands of wonderful customers, Cafe Sabor is proud to have been voted 3 years in a row Cache Valley's favorite Mexican restaurant in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Follow Cafe Sabor on social media for giveaways and promotions. Search Cafe Sabor for a restaurant near you. Thank you, Cache Valley, from your friends at Cafe Sabor.
The Cache Valley Media Group is currently looking for a traffic coordinator and an administrative assistant. Duties include scheduling radio and digital ads, assisting with sales, answering phones, greeting the public, and data entry with a high level of accuracy. Must have knowledge of Excel and Word and have basic accounting experience. Previous media experience is a plus, but not required. Spanish is helpful. Starting pay is $16 per hour. Benefits and training provided. Send resume to jobs@cvradio.com. That's jobs@cvradio.com. An equal opportunity employer.
Not everyone has been in an accident, but everyone knows someone who has. If you or a loved one has been hurt in a car, truck, motorcycle, cycling, or pedestrian accident, call the Advocates today, now with offices in Cache Valley. The Advocates offer free consultations. Talk with an experienced attorney and let an advocate guide you through your case and take over the stress of phone calls with the insurance company so you can rest and get better. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you do deserve an advocate. Chat online at utahadvocates.com or call 801-355-5550.
Did you know a block dryer vent is a real fire hazard? According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, there are tens of thousands of dryer exhaust duct fires annually, leading to many injuries and death. You should have your dryer hose and the area around it cleaned once a year and inspect the vent and hose for any blockages at least every 6 months. Don't wait for disaster to strike because your dryer vent is blocked. Give John Henson a call at the Duct Hunter. Call 770-4813 today.
Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Changing weather is coming. Make sure your vehicle has the right oil to handle the cooler temperatures. And they can get it done quickly and easy, and it's cleanly as well at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Open 7 days a week, 695 North Main in Logan, how it should be when it comes to getting your oil changed. So stop in today or any day to get that taken care of. So busy night in high school football, and really there's a good reason to be interested in every single game that's going on tonight. And we've got, let's start over in Box Elder County. This is a game that has Bear River hosting Mountain Crest. Bear River coming into this game ranked 14th in RPI, hosting number 9 Mountain Crest. Both teams lost last week. Both teams looking to get back on track. Bear River has shown an ability to score a lot of points at times. Mountain Crest has shown an ability to play solid defense. So this is a classic example of strength versus strength. Mountain Crest also has a decent offense to get them going, but certainly a little bit more known for their defense so far this year. And Bear River, their challenge has just been consistency. They've had games where they've blown the socks off of everybody with their offense, and they've had games where they're very quiet.
Yeah, and so they're going to try and always have a much better defense against Mountain Crest. And yeah, I think with where these two teams are at, Mountain Crest, they were at 2-0. They were trying to be on the rise, be ascendant in the region. Then they fall short. And Bear River, they've been kind of trending downward with the back-to-back losses. And so yeah, they're trying to get back up, because where Bear River and Mountain Crest, they were kind of in the same place coming out of non-region play, where they're both looking like, hey, we can be good teams. And I think they both won their first week of region. Yeah, they both won first week of region. So even through 1 week of region play, they were both eyeing, being much higher up in RPI. I think Mountain Crest even jumped into the top 5 or 6 in the RPI, if I remember.
Yeah, after that win at Green Canyon, they really jumped up.
And so both teams have kind of fallen.
They're still a top 10 team.
Yeah, they're not bad. None of these teams are bad. It's just that they had, for a little bit, they were looking at being much closer to the top of not only the region but 4A as a whole, and they've both fallen a little bit from where they were to now where they're kind of a couple of middle of the pack teams. Mountain Crest more that upper middle part of the pack.
Well, Mountain Crest 4-3, Bear River 3-4. So
yeah,
I mean, they're very close to each other.
Yeah, they're both hanging around that middle, kind of that upper middle part of 4A as a whole. So this is obviously the team that comes out with the win here going to be in a much better position RPI wise, and much better as far as seeding, and region titles probably out of reach for both of these teams at this point. Mountain Crest might technically have a shot, but this is them trying to turn things around a little bit, get back to where they were maybe a couple weeks ago in terms of their momentum, their RPI, and all that. So a chance for both these teams to turn things around to get back on the right track. Both good teams who can turn around, get back on the right track.
Yeah, very true. And both coaches in their second year with their programs. A couple different ways to follow this game for Bear River fans. In Box Elder County, you can always listen to the game on 104.9 The Ranch. It'll be Trent Carter, Josh Tyre on the call. You can also check out CashValleyDaily.com for links to follow that game. For the Mountain Crest broadcast, for the Mustang faithful, it'll be Jake Ellis and John Olson making the trek over there to call the game. And it'll be on 107.7 FM in Cache County, and video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. So multiple ways to follow that game, 2 different representations of what will take place in that game.
Yeah, if you want Mountain Crest homerism, you can check out Jake Ellis and John Olson with the Bear River homer, and Josh Tyre and Trent Carter there. So.
Yes, but they both do. Both crews do a great job. So very interesting matchup there with 2 teams trying to affect their standings with not much time left, but both very close to each other in the standings right now. So a lot on the line in this game. Another game that's going on tonight, number 4 Ridgeline going a little bit north, heading to Logan, take on number 19 Logan Grizzlies. And Logan trying to find something here. I think they've identified a few key players, but can they get other players to step up and help them out?
Yeah, they found a little bit on offense last week. They were able to get 18 points on Skyview. Granted, they couldn't stop Skyview really at all. So they're still struggling a bit on defense. I think their offense has clicked a little bit. Their passing game, they've got some really nice playmakers on that offense, wide receiver, even some young guys who are able to make some good plays. But yeah, defensively and then just scoring enough points has been a struggle. And things aren't going to get that much easier I mean, you're going from Skyview to Ridgeline. It theoretically gets easier
You're
with
right.
how good Skyview is. But Ridgeline's not that far behind Skyview in terms of the number of playmakers. In fact, they might have more playmakers. Maybe none quite to the level of a Brevin Egbert, but they have really good playmakers. So, if they don't step up, it could be another struggle for the Grizzlies.
And this could be another one of those scenarios that if Ridgeline wins, it may not positively affect them in the RPI.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you're Logan and their record's kind of getting continually worse and worse, and if Ridgeline wins, they add another loss, and it could hurt them. 'Cause, Skyview, their RPI number, their rank didn't go down because they've been so far ahead of everyone, but the number went down by like 0.03. So it went down by like 3%. So I don't know if that'll happen to Ridgeline, and with how close Ridgeline has been, because Ridgeline won last week.
Right.
And
they're very close to Provo.
Yeah, and they were close to a couple of different teams, and they went down, I think, 2 spots, was it? 1 or 2 spots? So I think they were 2 or 3, and they're down to like 4 or 5.
Yeah, Ridgeline's at 4 right now.
Yeah, so they went down despite getting the victory, and with how close kind of that 2 through 5 are in terms of that RPI number, they may go down slightly again, even if they win.
So, Jason, you'll be on that call with Josh Anderson.
Yep.
Broadcast on KVNU, 102 FM, 610 AM, also on 104.5 The Ranch. Video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. So fun to see how that game plays out at Logan tonight. And then the other game in Region 11 that's on the schedule, number 1 Skyview hosting number 6 Green Canyon. This could be a real doozy. Skyview undefeated on the year. They've come really close. A couple of teams have put a scare on the Bobcats. Skyview has found ways to win, but both Bear River and Ridgeline took Skyview to the wire. Will we see that played out for a third time tonight in Smithfield?
I think we could. Skyview has looked very mortal in region play. They are the undefeated, 7-0, 3-0 in region play. But as you said, 1-point victories in their first 2 region games. And, Ridgeline, obviously a really good team. Bear River's, I think they're just above Logan in the standings as far as wins in region play. But, of course, Bear River, pretty solid team themselves. And Green Canyon, at one point, the Wolves were number 1 in the RPI. They're no slouch. Their strength being defense, whereas Bear River's strength was offense. Like Bear River, they were able to be one of the few teams to keep up with Skyview's scoring. You get a 35-34 game. Green Canyon may do a little bit more of what Ridgeline did, where maybe it's just a lower scoring game with that Skyview-Ridgeline game ending 23-22. If Green Canyon keeps it close, I imagine it to be something like that. But with Green Canyon's defense and how good it is, very good chance this game could be close. But obviously, I'll just be dependent on how well Green Canyon is prepared for this game. And it's a rivalry game.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I would have to imagine they're going to be getting up for this game, especially because it's a chance for Green Canyon to kind of reestablish itself, because it's kind of fallen off a little bit. As I said, former number 1 team in the RPI, but now they're down to number 6. They've fallen off a little bit there. So they're trying to reestablish themselves, get that better seeding, and try and get back up in the RPI.
Yeah, Green Canyon was winning early because of, and exclusively because of, their defense. As the season has gone on, they have found a little bit more offense. And so the question is, have they found enough to hang with arguably the most potent offensive team in 4A and among the most potent teams, offensively potent teams in all of high school football in the state of Utah?
Yeah, I think if their offense can get to that 21 to 24 point total, then that's as much as you're going to want to, like, that's as much as you should probably be hoping to get from your offense. Obviously, that's kind of a low bar, but at this point, your offense is what it is. So if the offense can step up and get north of 20 points, then that's going to give the defense a decent amount of room for error. And I think Green Canyon can hold Skyview to around 20 points. I don't know if they will, but I know they can. So that's the thing. Green Canyon, if they play a good game, they can win. They very much can win.
Right.
But Skyview, obviously a really good team in and of themselves, and if they play well, they will win the game.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, so will Skyview learn lessons from their previous 2 times where they've dodged a bullet? Or, will the third time's a charm?
Is there a lesson to learn if they won both times?
Well, I mean, they found ways to win. That's true. Got to give them credit for that.
I guess the problem is they found ways to almost hand the game away.
Yeah, it's true. You look at how the final couple of minutes were in both of those games, and they did not play well in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Especially the last 5-6 minutes.
So maybe that's the lesson I guess we should be learning.
Yes.
Utah State needs to take a lesson from Skyview on how to start a game
How to start, at least, yeah. So a couple of ways to follow that game. It'll be here on The Fan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, also on 100.9 Light FM, the traditional home for Green Canyon. And it'll be Hurricane John Newbold and Rex Davis on the call, and also video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. So all those posts, links, how to follow along, how to listen, all those are already up and published on CashValleyDaily.com. If you forget or want to go back and be at one game and check in on another, or if you're somewhere out doing things and you can check multiple games at once, we've made it possible so you can do that.
And we do that sometimes. So we usually do texting around the quarters to get score updates for all of our broadcasts. Sometimes we just pull up the stream of the other game, like, all right, what's the score right this second? And we've done that a few times to be able to update listeners on our games.
Yeah, so we'll have full game recaps later on tonight with the scores, links to watch the video replay, I should say. Go back and watch it again, and likely to have several photo galleries of the games taking place tonight also. So stay tuned. Follow CashValleyDaily.com later tonight for the latest updates in Region 11 high school football. Another timeout, and coming up on the Full Court Press, Utah Jazz held starting their training camp. Will Hardy having to have a little bit of a mind shift when he's looking at his team, trying to approach things a little bit differently this year, at least when it comes to his big men. We'll hear what he had to say about that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
As the leaves fall, so do the prices at Murdoch Chevrolet.
Harvest the best deals during our Get Out and Drive sales event.
The summer heat is cooling off, and there's no better time to get out and drive.
Right now, receive 3.9% for 6 years plus $3,000 off a new Silverado. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family.
At Murdoch Chevrolet in Logan and Woods Cross, or online at murdochchev.com.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 10/2/23.
Imagine your wedding day. Elegant, simple, yet stunning, stress-free. It's your day. It's all about you. Whether you're looking for small and simple or have a grander idea, the Riverwoods Conference Center will accommodate your every need. Choose the inside ballroom elegance or outside along the natural decor of the beautiful Logan River. A Riverwoods event planner will work personally with you to make sure your event is exactly how you've envisioned it. The Riverwoods Conference Center, where your happily ever after begins. Google Riverwoods Conference Center or call 750-5151.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Medicare can seem complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Let us help. We'll answer all your questions and get you specific information that fits your needs. Medicare is not one size fits all. We'll help you find the right coverage for you. Call 752-9493. You can ignore the TV and the junk mail. We'll get you the exact information you need. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Les Olson IT structured cabling is second to none. Tired of old and inefficient cabling? Have an upgrade or remodel planned? Building a new network from the ground up? We offer the very best in low voltage cabling installation, including data, phone, fiber optic, and more. Ask us how to get your free consultation today.
Les Olson IT.
Want to set yourself apart from the competition? The Leadership MBA at Utah State University will help you lead companies and drive change in your organization. You can attend in person in Logan on Thursday evenings or take an interactive online class. Complete your MBA in as little as a year. Apply before November 1st to be considered for a January start. Contact the MBA office for a waiver of the $55 application fee. Learn more at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com.
Can you imagine what it would be like if you only had one option to choose from when buying a new car? Or while at a restaurant, they only offered one entree? Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Hi, this is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. If your current insurance agent only offers one option, then it may be time to change. At Quality First Insurance, we have access to hundreds of insurance carriers. Auto Owners Insurance and Quality First will give you options. Quality First Insurance, 2129 North Main Street, in front of Fisher Home Furnishings.
Sunday on the Las Vegas Raiders Radio Network, the Silver and Black head to LA for a showdown with the Chargers. Hi, this is Tim Cates. Join Jason Horowitz and Lincoln Kennedy for all the action as Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders head to LA to take on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. It's a Week 4 showdown in the AFC West. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Pre-game begins Sunday afternoon at 1:30 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Talking about as many different sports as we can. We've covered quite the gamut today.
Yeah, we've got NFL, college football, women's soccer, volleyball, high school football, high school girls soccer, high school volleyball. I wasn't counting. How many was that?
That's a good number.
They were about hitting the NBA too, so we are hitting the full spectrum just about. Oh, and we talked about tennis too.
Oh, we did mention tennis.
Is there a sport we haven't talked about so far?
Yeah, that's true. Full Court Press text line, if you want to text in, 435-339-0321. During the break, 2787 texting in. Who do Westside and Preston both play? Westside is playing Soda Springs, and I don't know who Preston's playing.
I didn't look up who. I was looking up West Side. Let me look up.
Yeah, look up Preston. I can't find if they have a game.
Sure they do.
The place I'm looking doesn't have their game. I don't know if they got a bye this week.
You're looking at Max Preps?
No.
According to Max Preps, they don't have a game, but
could be a bye week this week.
Maybe.
Yeah. They have those sometimes.
If the schedule I'm looking at is correct, which I don't know, I think IdahoSports.com usually does better with their.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
If they don't have one,
a bye week,
then they may very well have a bye week.
Yeah. So Utah Jazz holding getting ready to hold their training camp, and they've got some new faces in camp. Interesting to see how well they integrate, and to see. I mean, not significant changes on this roster. It's mostly the same as it was last year. Certainly, the biggest questions are how does John Collins fit into the mix? Who is your point guard? Those are probably the biggest questions facing the Jazz. And Will Hardy addressed that a little bit, and we'll get into more of that next week as it starts to unfold. But he did mention that he's going to have to change a bit of his approach to the team this year. Last year it was all new, right? Coming in with all fresh eyes, and let's see what we have, and let's figure out how they play well off of each other. Well, now there's different players in the mix, and that kind of affects the different dynamics. So here's some comments from Will Hardy earlier today.
I have to sort of reset my brain a little bit to start the year and not have preconceived notions or bias based on things that happened last year, because we have new pieces added to the context. Like take Lowry and Walker, for example. I think what I think of those two people, but everything I think about them is based on them playing a lot with Kelly Olynyk. They're both going to play a lot with John Collins this year, and so I have to think about them a little bit differently, and I have to be flexible in what I'm willing to do or try with them in order to make that three-person group of Lowry, John, and Walker work to the best of their abilities. I can't center it around John, and I also can't just center it around those two and just say, John, just figure it out as you go. That's not my job. My job is to make those three guys work well together.
So, yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Utah has upgraded with their bigs, if you will. But how do you work them all in? How do they connect to each other? And then I don't have the clip, but regarding the point guard position, he was basically saying, I don't want guys to be shackled with being a point guard or shooting guard. It's more of an open and fluid position, essentially.
And I'm fine with that, but the problem we have is that you need to have point guard skills.
Right. And somebody who can initiate the offense.
Yeah, that's the issue we have, is that it's not that Utah State doesn't have a Utah Jazz don't have a point guard. It's that they don't have anyone with point guard skills really is good enough to start at an NBA level with those point guard skills. You need those skills in an offense. Somebody has to have them. Otherwise, your offense suffers. All these great offenses in the NBA have somebody who has those point guard distributing skills, ability to create offense, both, either or both through scoring and passing. Now, it doesn't have to be the point guard. I mean, LeBron James has functioned as that player for every team he's played with basically his entire career. Nikola Jokic has been doing that from the center position for the Nuggets. Giannis even does a little bit for the Bucks, and he's doing it out of the power forward position. So, you don't need to be a quote-unquote point guard. You just need to have somebody on the team that can fill those skills, and the Jazz do not have that right now, or at least as we look at this team on paper, they don't have it. Now, maybe it's there with Keontae George, maybe Talon Horton-Tucker or Colin Sexton, but the thing is, we've seen several years of those players in their careers, so unless they magically come up with it this season, I don't think they have it. So we ask who's the point guard on this team because we want to know who's going to be tasked with doing that. And right now the answer is nobody on the Jazz, in my opinion, is capable of taking on that point guard-esque role at any of the positions. And that's what worries me. It's not so much who's going to play the nominal point guard position. That's a question there's a bit of a debate, but it's going to be Talon Horton-Tucker, Colin Sexton, maybe Keontae George. That's who we know is going to start at point guard. But who on earth is going to play point guard, if that makes sense?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there were times where it would appear they were trying to see if Lauri Markkanen could be the one to initiate the offense. And that's not really been
he's not going to do that.
His skill set. I mean, they are trying to find ways to isolate him a little bit more, to have him take that next step in his development. And I think that's reasonable to expect for any player. We've seen what you can do, but we want to continue to develop you into a player that has more value to our team. We saw Talon Horton-Tucker do a lot more of that on the back half of the schedule, but that's also when they were throwing in the towel.
And they were losing a bunch of games.
Right, losing games. We want to develop guys. This is our development period now. We played well and developed our quote-unquote assets through the trade deadline. Now let's give opportunity to our younger guys, or at least experienced guys, to get some run at some different positions. And so I get what Hardy is saying. It doesn't necessarily have to be the smallest guy on the court is your point guard who initiates the offense. That's an old traditional mantra that doesn't really work anymore in the NBA. But you do need somebody on the court who understands how to direct traffic and get things going. Can't be a bunch of guys standing around or passing the ball around the horn trying to wait for somebody to ISO, go one-on-one, and waste 20 seconds of the shot clock. It has to be somebody who knows what the plan is and can help get people in the right position.
Yeah, and some with this team, you look at a lot of the players, a lot of their strength tends to be off the ball. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, he was making waves with how much he was scoring versus how little he was actually touching the ball. He was kind of like Klay Thompson in a way where it's every time I touch the ball, I'm taking a shot. I only touch the ball 20 times a game, but I score 26 points and hyper efficient in low volume. And that's fine. That's great. Klay Thompson's got several rings doing that. But obviously you need guys who can initiate and make things happen. John Collins, he's another guy who's thrives more off the ball. Walker Kessler, kind of same thing. their on-ball guy. Jordan Clarkson's probably your best on-the-ball scorer, but he's not necessarily a great passer out of that. So he's like that sixth-man scorer. I can make it for myself, but
he'll get 4 or 5 assists a game, but that's usually because he's bottled up and he has to dish the ball out to somewhere else.
Yeah, his ideal is shooting. He's not necessarily creating offense and running an offense. He's just an offense unto himself at times, and it works really well for that kind of sixth-man role that he's typically played, outside of like last year. So yeah, the Jazz have a bunch of guys on their roster that are great off-ball players, and a couple of guys who are great on-ball scorers. They have no guys to run their offense, and that's again the worry is that. Walker Kessler was great with Mike Conley. It was wonderful to have him there. And even working alongside, Kelly Olynyk at times, who has a pretty nice ability to direct traffic himself from that center position. But he can't be doing that full time, especially when you're going to be starting Kessler over Olynyk. So they need to find somebody who can be running this offense and getting the ball to Markkanen, getting it to Collins, getting it to Kessler. Because otherwise this offense is going to stagnate with a bunch of players who are great when there's not much attention on them. So they need to have somebody who can draw attention away and can run the offense and help all these players who are great off-ball scorers and performers.
This segment started out focusing on this new philosophy. He has to approach things differently for his big men, but it's clear that we're all a little bit more focused on the guard situation.
Yeah, the thing is I'm not worried about the bigs at all. I think they fit well together. Markkanen, his ability to play small forward, basically makes that work. And if Collins is able to stretch the floor just fine, there's every reason.
Markkanen can go from power forward to shooting guard.
Yeah,
with his skill set.
I would not say shooting guard. I'd stick with small forward and power forward.
Okay.
Let's not go too far. But yeah, small forward, power forward. He fits fine just there. You can throw John Collins in a power forward, and he's got a little perimeter aspect, not to the same degree that Markkanen does, but he can theoretically stretch the floor. He has at times. Some injuries, and I think a finger injury have kind of maybe hurt him a little bit in terms of his ability to shoot. But as long as he's able to stretch the floor, I think Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler can work things out, and it's going to take some time. They're going to have to learn to play together.
And Olynyk. We can't leave Olynyk out.
They're not going to play all 4 of those guys at the same time.
No, but how they work together, how they play off of each other, it will be different. I mean, each lineup will be different because Olynyk is he's going to be doing a little bit more actions with passing the ball out or directing traffic a little bit more. Collins, it's hard to know. We don't know a lot about him yet. Maybe we've seen some games, but how he fits in a Jazz uniform in the system, we don't know.
Yeah.
And just the development and continued progression for the younger guys like Kessler and Lauri Markkanen as well.
Yeah, so I think the bigs, it will take some time to figure things out, but I think they can fit together. So it's just a matter of time for them. We know the talent. We know that the fit should be able to work with, as long as the coaching is creative in lineups and how he coaches those lineups, as long as he's doing that in a smart way. Those guys can fit together. Obviously not all 4 on the court at the same time, but usually 2 or 3 at least, on the floor together. And so those big man rotations should be fine and actually really fun. I think a Markkanen, Collins, Olynyk lineup is, that could be a blast.
Yeah.
Even if it's not necessarily the starting lineup. But, yeah, the trick is, that's all fine and dandy, but there are 2 more positions, and those are your weakest positions. And you need to be able to shore up that weakness to fully take advantage of the strength you have in the front court.
Yeah, very true. We'll spend more time on that next week as the Jazz begin their training camp in Hawaii, by the way. But some
what
comments.
What on earth are they doing there?
Playing ball. No, it's actually kind of cool. They're going to be donating some of the proceeds to what's going on in Maui.
Oh, I guess that's what they're doing. Okay.
Well, it was already planned to be in Hawaii.
Yeah.
But they're going to be doing some things they'll share some of the revenues from some of the games, preseason exhibition games that they do, to help out with what's going on to rebuild Lahaina.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I'm not angry anymore.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll hear more about the Utah Jazz next week. But coming up on the other side, there are some interesting college football games tonight on the schedule, including a top 25 showdown in the Pac-12. Update you on what's going on there. Coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Weather changes are tough on your transmission. As we move to colder winter weather, AMCO Transmission invites you to bring your vehicle in for preventative maintenance before the snow flies. Have a diesel pickup, Cummins, Duramax, or Power Stroke? AMCO in Logan is your transmission specialist, and they promise to get you in quickly. For over 50 years, AMCO Total Car Care has been experts in repair for transmissions, brakes, tune-ups, and more. Find your local AMCO. 75 East, 2000 North, 752-1940.
Fall is here. This is Mark at the Sportsman on Main Street. I invite you into our amazing store to see the new fall collection of amazing clothing, shoes, and outerwear for women and men. We have brands like Cool, Fiore, Fjallraven, and we have brought in some new brands from Europe that you will love. Trust me, you will look truly unique in whatever you buy from the Sportsman. Come in and let us take care of you. You'll be glad you did. For over 75 years, come and see us at the Sportsman on Main in downtown Logan with tons of parking in the back.
For more than a decade, Integrity Home Health and Hospice has been changing patient lives, outcomes, futures, and now we're changing our name. Integrity is now proud to be called Aegis Home Health and Hospice. Aegis, A-E-G-I-S. At Aegis, we're dedicated to compassion, character, and trust. We will ensure you experience the difference as we meet your home health and hospice needs. I'm Melissa Fieser. Our team promises to go above and beyond with compassion and care. Call us today, 435-723-9000, or find us online at myaegis.com.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic and Hearing Aid Center are located in North Logan in the Three Peaks Medical Plaza and Providence on Gateway Drive. Doctors Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette and staff have over 75 years of combined medical experience, providing the very best patient care for ear, nose, and throat conditions. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted. Go to CacheValleyENT.com. That's CacheValleyENT.com for appointments and details. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, located in North Logan and Providence.
Fall is in the air and it's getting colder. Make sure your vehicle is well maintained. Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan across from Angie's can help. As the weather turns colder, your car needs more babying and an oil change is easy. They'll change your oil and also check other fluid levels and replace your air filters if needed. The best thing, you can stay in your car while their trained professionals service your vehicle. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main, open 7 days a week.
Ooh, a brookie. I'll take 2 of those. What, a raspberry toaster tart? Yeah, 2 for me. How about...
There's something about a real good cookie.
Can't forget the classics. I'm thinking chocolate chip. And...
People in Logan are getting dirty at Dirty Dough. Cookies beyond imagination. Find a location near you at dirtydough.com.
Life gets messy. It's better with a cookie.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
At Napa, they feature all the best brands: Croyle, Amsoil, Schaefer, BG, Seafoam. Find the parts, find the oil you need. Keep your car and equipment running best. 5 different locations between Preston and Providence. That's Napa Auto Parts. So we got some pretty big games tonight in college football. I know we talked about the Mountain West schedule for tomorrow, but there's some doozies on the schedule tonight. Number 10, Utah at number 19, Oregon State. 7 o'clock kickoff on FS1. And then later tonight on ESPN, 8:15, Cincinnati at BYU. This is BYU's Big 12 opener, first Big 12 game in Provo. BYU favored by 1, Oregon State favored by 4 in their game. So if you want to watch the other teams in the state, Utah at Oregon State tonight, 7 o'clock on FS1, BYU hosting Cincinnati at 8:15. Former Aggie Daniel Grishik playing for Cincinnati and playing really well for the Bearcats, which it's kind of painful to see. Love to see him in an Aggie uniform. But a couple of former Aggies actually involved in that game in Provo tonight. But we digress. But other games of note in the top 25 tomorrow. A couple other big showdowns. I know everybody's enamored with Colorado these days. Number 8 USC is at Colorado. 10 a.m. on Fox. Early game in Boulder. You've got top 25 showdown in Austin. Number 24 Kansas at number 3 Texas. That's going to be 1:30 on ABC. Number 13 LSU at number 20 Ole Miss. That's 4 o'clock on ESPN. So we've got a number of top 25 teams squaring off. 11, Notre Dame at number 17, Duke, 5:30 on ABC. This could be interesting, too. Number 12, Alabama at Mississippi State, 7 o'clock on ESPN. And as we mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, the lone top 25 team out of the Mountain West Conference has the late game as Fresno State hosting Nevada, 8:30 on FS1. So a couple different games to note throughout college football. A couple other texts coming through. 4781 texting in. Is it pronounced Talon or Talon for Horton Tucker? My understanding it was Talon, but I could be wrong. We'll have to double check that. 2603 texting in. Think we could tuck John Stockton out of retirement? Man, that'd be great if this team could love to have the skills of John Stockton, directing traffic, setting screens, the occasional three-point shot as well. That'd be a great addition to this team. But, yeah, I'm sure at his age he could probably still get out there and make a few plays, but alas, you're going to have to look somewhere else. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.
Saturday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. Big 12 foes collide from Norman as the 14th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners host the Iowa State Cyclones. Hi, it's Greg Daniels. Join Chad Brown and me for all the action as Dylan Gabriel and the Sooners look to remain unbeaten, but Rocco Becht and the Cyclones have an upset on their mind. It's the 14th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners hosting the Iowa State Cyclones. If it's NCAA football, it's right here.
Pregame begins Saturday afternoon at 4:30 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.